If you look closely at my hands as they rest on this old oak table, you will see the map of nearly a century. The skin is thin like parchment paper, spotted with the sun of 96 summers, and the veins run blue and prominent, like rivers that have flowed for a very long time. People see me and they rush to open doors. They speak a little louder, and they assume that my days are spent looking backward, sifting through dusty memories of a time that no longer exists. They ask me, how does it feel to be 96? With a mixture of pity and curiosity. But here is the secret that makes me smile every morning when I pour my tea. I do not feel 96. Last time I truly checked in with my spirit, somewhere between the sunrise and the first bird's song, I felt 49, perhaps tomorrow. I will feel 22. You see, I stopped letting a number on a calendar direct my life or my future a long time ago. Most people think that by the time you reach my age, the story is already written, the ink is dry, and the book is just waiting to be closed. But that is the great lie we are taught. I discovered that life is simply a room that expands as much as you are willing to push the walls. I never ask anyone their age anymore because age is only a number for me. If I want to do something, I just do it. I don't think about the stiffness in my knees or the gray in my hair. I realized something important. The only person stopping me was me. The turning point for me didn't happen when I was young. In fact, for the first 60 or 70 years of my life, I was asleep. I was a warehouse of potential that never opened its doors. I worked jobs that put food on the table but left my soul hungry. I was so concerned about what other people thought, so terrified of a raised eyebrow or a whispered comment at the grocery store. I lived my life for everyone else, my parents, my husband, my children, my boss. But I eventually learned a hard truth. If you are not satisfied with your life when you lay your head down at night, it means you are living for someone else or something else. It wasn't until I was much older, an age when most people start winding down, that I stumbled into a realization. I had to unlearn. We talk so much about learning to walk, learning to read, learning a trade, but nobody teaches us the art of unlearning. And I tell you, that is the secret to feeling 49 when the world says you are ancient. I had to unlearn the old values and ideas that told me a fulfilling life looked a certain way. I had to unlearn the hesitation that froze me every time I had a wild idea. The world is full of distractions. It is so easy to let the lifestyle, the bills, and the noise get in the way of the dreams you dream on a daily basis. For me, it was the desire to express myself, to be a performer in my own right, even if my stage was just my living room. But I told myself I was too old. I told myself I wasn't talented. These were the things I had to unlearn. We need to refocus ourselves and relearn everything that we thought we knew. I realized that those negative comments people might make, or the ones I imagined they would make, were never really about me. They were related to their own insecurities. Those comments come from people who left their own dreams on the shelf. So I made a deal with myself. I decided to treat my life not as a sentence to be served, but as a vacation. I wake up every day now, and I look at this life just like being a vacation for myself. It has been a long time since I looked at it that way, but I tell you, It should always be a vacation. Whether you are washing dishes or painting a masterpiece, it should be fun. Attitude is the only thing that separates the old from the young. I stopped being stuck in a lifestyle or a relationship where I lost the imagination of who I really wanted to be. But desire is one thing, action is another. And this is where most people, young and old, fall apart. We are conditioned to see everything as glossy perfection. We live in a world that demands instant success. If we try something once and it isn't a masterpiece, we quit. If we try a second time and struggle, we say we aren't cut out for it. I had to unlearn that fragility. I adopted a rule that changed everything. A rule I wish I had known when I was a blushing girl of 20. It is the rule of the 100 tries. Whenever I decide I want to learn something new, whether it is watercolor painting, learning a new language, or simply trying to bake a souffle that doesn't collapse, I give myself permission to fail. In fact, I designate about 100 times that I will actually try to do it. I tell myself, okay, I am going to try this. I may fail the first 100 times, and I am okay with that, because I know this is a slow process. This mindset eliminates frustration. When you give yourself the distance of 100 times, the pressure evaporates. If attempt number 5 is a disaster, I don't throw my hands up and say, I'm too old for this. I simply say, that was attempt number 5, only 95 to go. By giving myself that chance, I am not afraid to try the next time. I know that even if I fail, I still have the desire to keep going. I still have the desire to keep trying. It is better to try and fail than to never try at all. After I embraced the freedom of failure, I began to look at the structure of my life. I realized that to live a fulfilling life, you need simplicity. We have made life so difficult for ourselves. We complicate our relationships, our careers, and even our mornings. I realize that waking up in the morning is nothing difficult, but you can make that particular day difficult just by doing different things that go in a direction where you end up as an unhappy person. I started to strip away the noise. I stopped worrying about keeping up. I realized that nothing has to be difficult. If I want to change something, I take a step at a time, because that is how we learn how to walk. You watch a baby learning to walk. They don't sprint. They wobble, they take a step. Instead of taking leaps, the leaps come later. So, for anyone out there feeling stuck, perhaps you are an accountant who wants to be a musician, or a warehouse manager who wants to travel. My advice is to start very slowly. Do not disappoint yourself by trying to launch yourself out there in a big way, only to be frustrated because it doesn't quite work out immediately. One of the most essential habits I developed to maintain this clarity and keep moving forward is writing things down. I have been journaling for many, many years, often doing it multiple times a day. It is not enough to just have a dream sitting on a shelf collecting dust. You must write down your goals, write down your dreams, and most importantly, write down why you feel that this is something very close to your heart. When you sit with pen and paper, you must be honest. Write down why you feel you need to accomplish this, and brutally write down why you haven't accomplished it yet. to go back and decide why you have not actually pursued a dream, and seeing what is actually stopping you will give you more clarity on how to move forward with it. Through this process, I discovered something important. The key to a fulfilling life is simplicity. The simpler you make things, the better chances you're going to have of living a life that feels like your own. We have made life so difficult for ourselves in all aspects, from our careers to our relationships. But if we reverse the thought process and make it simple, we realize that nothing has to be difficult. Consider waking up in the morning. Waking up itself is nothing difficult, but you can make that particular day difficult just by doing things that move you in a direction where you become an unhappy person, based on a past that is not going to be your future. As I stripped away the complications, I confronted the one thing that holds so many of us back, the fear of other people's opinions. I used to care a lot about what other people thought of me, and I think that is one of the defining factors that limits people from actually going for their dreams, because we are so concerned about what other people think, so concerned about what other people say. But then I decided something. There is no one stopping me, except me. I realized that I am the only one pulling the strings back. What I have learned in my old age is this: a lot of the judgment that other people cast on you is related to their own insecurity. It is hardly ever actually about you, but more so about them and the projection that your actions bring onto them. Because for those who never took the chance, seeing you try reminds them of the dreams they left on the shelf. That is the limitation we must unlearn. In the quiet moments of my day, I often find myself in a deep conversation with the most influential person in my life, myself. I talk to myself a lot, not to be selfish, not to be arrogant, but because when I talk, I know I am listening. And when I listen, I move forward faster, I make better choices. At the end of the day, the only person you have to satisfy is yourself. If you are not satisfied, that means you lived your life for someone else or something else. I often think about my parents. They came from a small town in Oklahoma. My father started out as a janitor, but he built a good life before he passed away when I was just 18. Even though I didn't have much time with him, he left me something far more valuable: values, family, self-belief, standing up for yourself. He taught me to be confident in who I am. If I could perform a miracle and go back in time to sit across from my 25-year-old self, knowing everything I know today, I would take her hands and say, "I am very proud of you. I am proud that you chose to decide for yourself what matters." I would tell her, "Never give up. Define the odds. Rise up with a smile on your face, even when there is animosity, even when there are trials and tribulations, because life can only become what you decide it will be. We are all players in a play. But if you are the star of your play, you decide how the story ends. Do not let someone else decide that for you." I used to believe resources were scarce, but I learned something. The pie of success is not fixed in size. The pie keeps getting bigger, and there is always room for you. So here I am, 96 years old, and every morning I wake up and I look at this life like a vacation. It has been a long time since I saw it that way. but it should always be a vacation. Whatever you are doing out there, make life a vacation. It is a mindset. Baby. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a painting to finish, and I am only on my third attempt.